All right, so let me ask you a question. Who's smarter, Americans?
Definitely not. No.
Really?
Black people don't even know what country they come from. I said black people down there don't even know what country they come from.
So what?
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Keeping it real.
From London, right?
Yeah.
All right, so let me ask you a question. Who's smarter, Americans?
Definitely not. No.
Really?
Black people don't even know what country they come from. I said black people down there don't even know what country they come from.
So what country you come from?
Me, a few. I'm African and Caribbean.
Where were you born?
Here.
So if your kids are born here, where are they from?
No.
Huh?
From London, but ethnic.
Hold on, ethnically don't matter. After four,
He does. That's what we mean. Americans, they're born there.
but that isn't that ignorant to say it. If we-
No.
Hold on. Hold on, you're white, girl. Calm down.
No, I am.
You still white. It's calm down.
No,
Hold
but
on.
that's what I'm trying to.
So you think that was a choice?
Well, if they decided to ask their mum where they're from,
My mom was born in America.
well, she should at least know.
My grandmother was born in America.
She should at least know.
How? Slavery was a crazy thing. Do you think that was a choice?
Of course not.
So how can you say that? Like seriously, how can you say that though? Like
Yeah, but we know the few countries we're from. At least in America, they don't know anything. They just say they're from like California or somewhere. They don't
But
know.
hold on, after 5 or 6 generations and building up America, don't you think we own America? That's our home.
Well,
Would there be an America if there weren't black people there?
I don't think that matters.
It does matter because without black people in America, there's no America.
I don't know.
It's true.
Okay, but like, calmly, all Americans are just dumber.
How?
If I show you a flag right now, you won't be able to tell me what that is.
Who cares what flag it is? Fine, you're dumber. You're dumber. Dumber. How many holes does a straw have?
2, 1.
Enough said. Enough said.
Another satisfying race.
What to do? This is your brother Bishop of Bishop's Zone TV, and today I have to do a quick educational video. Y'all just saw this mess right here, and I promise y'all this is not an FBA ADOS type video. Y'all know, if y'all seen my video, if y'all seen my content for quite some time now, y'all already know I don't rock with that type of shit. I don't rock with the xenophobia bullshit. I'm a Pan-Africanist, but I don't like the disrespect. And this young sister from the UK just came out of nowhere and just attacked black Americans. And it's ironic that, they were saying that Americans are dumb, which I'm not really offended by, them saying American dumb. I don't even identify necessarily as an American. I'm an American citizen, but that's another topic for another goddamn day. Americanized African is what I identify myself as. No trans shit. Shouts out to him though. However, getting back to this topic, I had a problem with this because this isn't the first time I've heard this narrative that, well, why don't black Americans know where they come from? Why don't they know where they come from? And in saying that Americans are dumb, and that young sister implying that black Americans are especially dumb because they don't even know where they come from, she didn't even know necessarily what country she came from. She said a region, which is the Caribbean, and a continent, which is Africa. So she didn't name, so it was ironic that in claiming that black Americans don't know where they come from, she didn't necessarily detail what countries she comes from either. With that said, for any of my black Brits, my black brothers and sisters in the UK and abroad, let's do a little history lesson, because it seems like y'all don't understand why black Americans, and when I say y'all, I'm not generalizing, some black Brits don't understand why we don't identify, or why we can't identify certain groups, certain countries when it comes to Africa. And the reason why that is because it was this little thing. I don't know if y'all remember this. It was this thing that happened back in the day. It's called fucking slavery. Slavery, the transatlantic slave trade. Y'all remember that, right? Started in what? The late 1400s with Portuguese and Spain, and later British got involved, and other European countries got involved in the slave trade, where they pretty much gathered a bunch of West and West Central Africans primarily and took them to other parts of the world, right? They took them to what we know now today as the United States of America. They took them to the Caribbeans. They took them to South America. They even took some to the United Kingdom and other various European countries, but primarily to United States, the Caribbeans, and South America. Y'all remember that, right? And that happened again, what, in the late 1400s all the way up until the 1800s, right? Even as late as 1888 in Brazil. So, education, let's break this down, my Black British brothers and sisters who are making this narrative that, why y'all don't know? Because the sister said, your mom, ask your mom, ask your grandmother. Why don't they know? Because we were cut off. Let me tell you, we were cut off from Africa in the 1700s. Majority of us were cut from Africa in the 1700s and the 1800s. And through the system of chattel slavery in America, our culture, our existence, our cultural ties, our cultural identifications to Africa, to specific ethnic groups in West and West Central Africa were no more. The oppressors, the slavers, deliberately, intentionally dissolved, disintegrated, stripped us of our cultural identification. So when you ask black people, why don't y'all know where you come from? Dumbass, we don't know, because it was taken from our ancestors 4, 5, 6 generations ago. Yes, there's bits and pieces of information where it shows that our ancestors did have an identity, that they still knew where they came from, but that was taken away from us. And Africans, enslaved Africans during chattel slavery had to adapt to their environment. So you couldn't identify as your ethnic group where you come from in Africa, because it literally meant life or death. And the more that you showed that you were aware, consciously and culturally aware of who you are or who you were, that could literally be your ass. You could literally die from that, because the oppressors, the slavers, had to make it clear that you were property. You're not Yoruba. You're not Igbo. You're not Hausa. You're not Wolof. None of that shit matters anymore. You're not Mende. You try that Fulani shit here in this America, something that we're trying to create for our people, and you being my property, start that shit, I'm killing you. And then I'm killing your family to make an example. So our ancestors had to adapt to this new world that they were placed in. We don't have cultural ties to Africa. That died down. We didn't have a cultural identification. We didn't have a cultural identification to Africa to pinpoint we came from this, that, and the third. Also, not to mention that when our ancestors were taken from Africa, those countries that we see today in Africa did not exist. Those are white man's. That's the white man's invention. Have you ever heard of Berlin Conference in the early 1900s? Have you heard of that? Google Berlin Conference and understand that these are European constructs that we now know today as Nigeria, Benin, Togo, Ghana, etc., etc. So, some of my brothers and sisters across the way, this is not an attack on y'all. It's a misunderstanding, and we need to educate ourselves on both sides of the coin. We are still bonded by our African lineage, and in doing so, we need to empathize with one another. We all got different plights and shit. So that's all I got to say about this video. Again, this is not an FBAC. See, FBAC 80OS. This is how you address certain groups of people who might exhibit some dumbass sentiments about us. This is how you address that. You can address it without generalizing a group of people. You know what I mean? In negative light. So that's all I got. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Until next time, holla.